Everyone, it's time for a live look at the astrology. My name is Katie Sweetman, and this is your look at the astrology for May 6th through 12th, 2024. So we are in Taurus season, which means, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere, we are in a time of renewal. We're in a time of flowers. The earth is in a state of bloom, and I realize if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, you're like, no, Katie, we are the opposite. But that's just the duality of life. But even symbolically, and I think the astrology is both literal and symbolic, how do we symbolically connect to the energies of fertility, renewal, new beginnings? We have a Taurus new moon this week, and Taurus builds on Aries. Each sign in the zodiac builds on the previous sign. So if Aries is that rush of new life, it's the start of the lunar cycle, the start of the zodiac, then Taurus wants to bring something into shape and to form. It wants something to be tactile, maybe to hold on to it. Taurus is definitely a sign of resources, for example. But that said, we have a new moon this week. This new moon is not an eclipse, so we are not in eclipse season anymore. But that energy, it's like it planted a seed, and we may find that at different points throughout the next 6 months, that energy comes to the forefront. You also may remember back in April, we had something called the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in Taurus. This would have been on April 20th. I think it was at 21 degrees of Taurus. And maybe there's a lot, at least what I saw on social media, there was a lot of like, we're, abundance and da-da-da-da. And I was like, well, we'll see. Maybe that's my pragmatic side speaking. But, conjunctions, and I realize this is a little bit of a technical term for people, but two planets coming together, it's called a conjunction. It plants a seed. There's that word again. That's what a new moon is. A new moon is a conjunction between the moon and the sun. So this new moon that we're going to have tomorrow, May 7th, it will activate that conjunction, even though that conjunction was back on April 20th. So maybe you have to get to May to really see what these energies are, but don't worry, I'll go back and refresh what this all means for you. So if you're watching live, as always, say hello, let me know where you're watching from. It's always fun to check in. I have Sag rising, so it means that I have to sometimes travel through you all, because I can't always travel. I got a doggy, it's a little bit difficult. But anyway, so let's dive in. Let's look at the week of May 6th through 12th, 2024. For those that don't know who I am, my name is Katie Sweetman, and I'm an astrologer and psychic medium located here in the New York City area. And every week we gather live to look at the astrology. And you hear me say every week that the astrology is 50%. You are the other 50%. So that's always in the back of your head, because you listen, like, how do I work with this energy? How do I sit with it? How am I present with it? And what does it evoke within me? Maybe you're like, I don't like Taurus, da-da-da, or I don't, whatever our story is, that's the part that's us. Astrology is just time and energy and how we live time, for example. So having said that, let's just go into the astrology of this week. So as I was saying in the introduction, the big headliner, and really, it is a bit of a quiet week this week. It's really just the Jupiter, just the Taurus new moon that's really the highlight of this week. But so we have the Taurus new moon, and every 4 weeks, just some basic astrology, every 4 weeks we have a new moon. A new moon is a flip of the page. It is a new container of energy. And it says that on some level over the next 4 weeks, because that's how long a lunar month is, we will live life through the archetype of that sign. So as I was saying a few moments ago, Taurus is, well, I didn't say this, but it's in my head. Taurus is an earth sign. It's the first earth sign. It's the second sign of the zodiac, and it follows after Aries. So it takes, this is the part I said before, it takes the rush of life, the energies of spring and the spring equinox. I realize that's not necessarily lines up to everybody who's listening if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, But Aries, it sort of brings us into that energies of symbolic spring, and then Taurus wants it to take shape and take form. The first element in astrology is what? Fire. You're like, what? Elements? Well, there are 4 elements in astrology, and the first element is fire. So we have fire signs: Aries, first sign of the zodiac; second fire sign, Leo; third fire sign, Sagittarius. Fire initiates, it illuminates, it gives us the spark of something. Well, the signs that follow the fire signs are the earth signs, meaning the zodiac does not start with earth. It starts with fire, meaning if it started with earth, we would start with something that's inert. It doesn't have life. It's infertile. So we need the fire of Aries and the energy of Aries to bring the life and the fertility, symbolically speaking, to Taurus. So here we are, we're going to have a Taurus new moon, and it says that on some level over the next 4 weeks to examine, to feel, not always head examine, but to heart examine and to feel what is your relationship with the material plane. Taurus is one of 2 signs that I call the axis of matter. Axis of matter, Taurus and Scorpio. These are 2 signs that talk about this sort of really powerful energy of life, Taurus, and death, Scorpio. Always side by side, always opposite each other. They both need each other because the renewal of, let's say, Aries and Taurus is paved by Scorpio, for example. Matter, material, what we can touch, what we can, it's how we take care of ourselves. Taurus is a very nuts and bolts sign. It's very, basic in the sense that it's our basic needs. It's the roof over our head. It's food in the kitchen. It's money in the bank, or whatever form of currency and resources that you have available to you. And, it doesn't mean that this has to be a month where we all get rich, although that would be nice. However, it is a month to enjoy the material plane, to activate the energies of sensuality. Venus, at the time of the new moon, tomorrow, is also in Taurus. Venus rules Taurus, so we have the ruling planet in its own sign at the time of the new moon. So it sort of really amplifies this energy of renewal and fertility and sensuality and really creating a sense of stability and security. That's the thing about Taurus. If it was just Aries, it would be this flash of life, but nothing to really anchor it in. So Taurus, and God love Taurus, it really teaches us the importance of stability and security and reliability, and making sure that we really find our anchor with Taurus. It's a little bit of a technical point, but the moon, there's this whole classification, it's called essential dignity, and it says that the moon is exalted in Taurus. I know it's a little bit technical, but it just reminds us that the moon, mother, home, family, past, memories, does some of its best work in Taurus. And at least I think these are 2 signs, Cancer, moon, and Taurus, Venus, that really goes side by side. So on some level, Taurus does evoke the past and memory and nostalgia. And we may feel that over the next 4 weeks. What do I need in order to feel safe and secure? Where is home? Who is home? Do I have everything that I need? What do I need in the sense that maybe what you need is different than what somebody else needs. Taurus is the sign of value. What is your value? Even self-worth. What is your self-worth, for example? So these are a lot of the ways in which we may, let's say, live through the energies of the Taurus new moon over the next 4 weeks. If there is something that is lifeless, bring life to it. Maybe as a tip of the hat to Scorpio, if something is past its sell-by date, so to speak, or it needs to be cleared away, then clear it away. The debris, the brush, anything that's going to create that space for new life to grow in your life. For example, it's to look at what you own. Maybe you feel like you have too much. You can donate it. You can buy new things. You don't have to buy anything. You can do buy nothing. There's buy nothing groups, for example. You can just reevaluate and reassess, for example. Yes, where is home and who is home? It's a really important question because, especially if astrology is sort of this metric for life, it's a question that we will get asked at key moments in our life. Where is home and who is home? Ultimately, home is within, but that's not something that we step into right away. We have to cultivate it, we have to nourish it, and we can't nourish it until we really do find that stability and security. Taurus, I need to feel safe enough to answer that question, but sometimes we don't have that luxury. For example, so Taurus new moon, and this new moon it is making something called a sextile to Saturn. I don't typically mention sextiles because they're so quiet. They're like the concierge of the aspects. A sextile is an opportunity. It's a quiet opportunity. It's maybe an opportunity of a friend to help you or somebody in your community to help you in the case of Saturn. Maybe somebody older, but Saturn gives us a sense of stability, and maybe we need that stability. The other thing about this new moon, this is what I was saying in the introduction, it is right alongside Jupiter. Jupiter is, I think, right now at 25 degrees of Taurus, and Uranus is right next to it, and that's at 24 degrees of Taurus, right opposite my Scorpio sun. But anyway, that conjunction of planets, we last had the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in 2010, 2011. It was in Pisces. We had it previously 1997, February 1997 in Aquarius. Go back, it's a 14 year cycle. We go back to 1983, it was in Sagittarius. We go back to 1969, in August of 1969. I know, a very interesting month, very interesting time. Woodstock, August of 1969. Even the whole summer of 1969 was very interesting. Jupiter and Uranus were conjunct in Libra, moon landing, for example. What I've noticed, now, although this is personal, and Jupiter is what's called my ruling planet, because I said I'm Sag rising, and so Jupiter has a very important status in my own astrology, is that those were huge times in my life and a time of rapid personal growth and transformation. Maybe it's the same for you, maybe it's not, maybe you're scratching your head. So go back, look at those times in your life, especially if you are a Sag or Pisces. I would even throw in Virgo and Gemini, because Jupiter is a big player in those two signs as well. So here we are, although the conjunction was on the 20th of April, so a few weeks ago, but the seed was planted, and then the new moon gives a life to the conjunction. So it says, in addition to everything that I said about the next 4 weeks, it is possible that there's this other lens in which we may live this energy. It may be a month of rapid personal growth and transformation. It could be a time of innovation. With Jupiter and Uranus have this sort of reputation in astrology together as energies of innovation. We're able to see things from a radically new perspective, to download, to capture, to be the antenna for new ideas. For example, Jupiter, by its nature, just wants to make our world bigger. It's in Taurus. It's been in Taurus since May of 2023. So it doesn't have the sort of, let's say, the big fire, big vision that it has in some of the other signs. But Jupiter in Taurus is more nuts and bolts. It's like, I want to make your material life bigger. And that's why everybody was like, woohoo, we're all going to be rich by the time Jupiter leaves Taurus. But, maybe there is abundance to be had in a lot of different forms. Maybe we, looking back over last year, our relationship with our own material life has changed. Keep in mind that while Jupiter has been in Taurus since May of 2023, Uranus has been in Taurus since May 2018 and March 2019. I say those two dates because Uranus went into Taurus May 15th of 2018. It retrograded out, I think it was like the 6th or 7th of November 2018, and then it went back in on March 6th, 2019. Uranus is what's called an evolutionary planet. It doesn't move very quickly. It will spend 7 years in a zodiac sign. So we are actually coming to the end of Uranus's time in Taurus. And so when it goes into a new sign, that sign has to grow and evolve. I say has to. I realize that's, very, like, hey, I thought, we're 50%. Well, there are energies that are bigger than us. It's like there's the huge 100-foot waves, there's cyclones and hurricanes, there's tornadoes, and there's you. And I'm not saying that Uranus is those things, but it's an energy, it's a force. It's a force of awakening, it's a force of reinvention, and it's a force that can turn everything upside down. If Taurus is the earth beneath our feet and everything that is comfortable and known and stable and secure, I'm pretty sure that all you have to do is look back the last 6 years, and the life that you had in 2018, the start of 2018, may not be the life that you have now. It may look radically different, especially if you're a Taurus, or maybe you're scratching your head. You're like, Katie, it looks exactly the same. I live in the woods. I don't see anybody. Life's a mystery sometimes. But having spoken to a number of you at this point in my career, some of you are my clients, I've definitely seen or heard rather some stories about your life and the changes, and even the positive changes that you've made in your life over the last 5-6 years. So something has had to change with our sense of what's our relationship with the material world. What do we need? Maybe what we thought we needed January 2020 is not what we think what we needed in January 2022, or even now, May of 2024. Uranus and Taurus, because Taurus is so much about stability and security, is maybe the things that we thought would never change in 2018, 2019 have changed radically. Maybe it's internal, maybe it's not external, it's internal. That's the thing. Astrology can sometimes radically change or alter the internal landscape, our spiritual landscape, our sense of our internal self. It might be an awakening, for example. So Jupiter, over the last year, in a way, has been giving life to this force, because Jupiter, by its nature, wants to make things bigger. It wants to open up our eyes. It wants us to look outside of ourselves, and it wants us to gain wisdom and knowledge. Sometimes it can sometimes it can add to an energy that's already shaking the foundation, so to speak. So these two energies came together last month, but they're still together in the sky, and really until the end of May, they'll be together. So the question is, how does this energy of reinvention, of innovation, of changing the landscape, of doing things differently, getting out of a rut, how does that come forward for us in the next 4 weeks? And even if you are a Taurus or Taurus rising, it's for you to look back. What was life like 4, 5, 6 years ago? What is life like now? And I will say, and this is a little bit of a sneak peek, Uranus will make its first dip into Gemini next year. I have to write on my post-it note. July 7th of 2025 to November 7th of 2025. So that's just our first preview of Uranus and Gemini. And you're like, oh my God, wait, what? What does Uranus and Gemini mean? We'll get there. We got other things to cover first. But it's just information for the back of your mind that we have a big hand on the clock changing signs next year. So that evolutionary force then will go to Gemini. And all your Geminis, 2025 and 6 is going to be the start of a major change and transformation. I know you're like, what? I don't make the astrology. I just report the astrology. We actually have numerous planets changing signs next year. Pluto already in Aquarius, but that's sort of like the first planet in advance. Then we have Saturn making its first dip into Aries next year, although it's just for a few months. We even have Neptune going into Aries, a little bit of a dip from March to October 2025. I was actually looking at, I have one of those apps that shows you where the planets are, and I was like, wow, Neptune's at 29 degrees of Pisces right now. That sort of just snuck up on me. It just feels like forever, because it has been forever. Neptune went into Pisces 2011, 2012. I think it was fully into Pisces by February 3rd of 2012. So yeah, Neptune will spend 14 years in a sign. So it's starting to go into Aries next year, and it will be 14 years in Aries. But that's, again, another conversation for another time. So Yeah, it's something to think about. How do we use this energy? An energy that Taurus by its nature is so, and I mean this in the best possible way, so basic and simple. We don't want to mess with the Taurus in our life. I don't mean a person in your life. You have to understand that even though your sun sign may be someplace else, you are all 12 signs. Your sun, let's just say, for example, that you're a Leo, and then you got the 11 other signs that are standing in for different aspects of your life. So Taurus is a particular area of your life, and that area has had to change over the past few years. But that said, Taurus as an energy and an archetype talks about the things in our lives that we want to be stable and secure. You want your paycheck to be stable and secure. You want the food and to be able to nourish yourself and take care of yourself and stay alive, to be stable and secure. You want a roof over your head. All these, that's what I mean by basic. So that energy is very present over the coming 4 weeks, also to enjoy life, to be in the pleasure of life, taste, touch, smell. Taurus is food. It's good food. It's, I always think of baking when I think of Taurus, but that's just my own personal view of the sign. And then we got the wild card of Uranus, so that's to be determined. So this new moon will be tomorrow. I think it's 11:22 p.m. Eastern. So for most of the world, it will be May 8th because I think it's mid. I can't remember. Yeah, blah 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 stuff. But anyway, yeah, that's my brain stopping. But it'll be at 18 degrees, and it will take us into a new month. Then, like I said, there's not a lot of aspects happening this week. It's really just the Taurus new moon, or just the lunar aspects, for example. But we will have Mars, speaking of eclipses, we will have Mars at an eclipse degree Tuesday and Wednesday, so the 7th and 8th at the same time as the new moon. You may remember that we had a Libra lunar eclipse back on March 25th, and that lunar eclipse was at 5 degrees of Libra. So Mars right now is at 4 degrees of Aries. That's what's called an opposition. It gets into the exact opposition tomorrow and Wednesday, and so it just will activate this energy of relationships and connection. And Mars can be provocative. It can bring people into our lives. It can activate a bigger story. And then I will say at the end of May, Mars will get to the degree of 19 Aries. That's the degree of the April 8th solar eclipse. That's why for me as an astrologer, I've had my eye on May as sort of this stage for a lot of the seeds that were planted in March and April, for example. So let's look at with the astrology of this week. Just a couple of aspects to mention today. May 6th, Mercury makes its last conjunction to Chiron. So Mercury was retrograde last month. It wrapped up its retrograde, so it's starting to pick up some steam, and it's meeting up in the sky with Chiron. Chiron is it's a newer addition to astrology. It's a little bit of a quieter addition. It adds to a psychic element of what's going on. It speaks to healing and releasing and letting something go. Sometimes having the courage and bravery to have a hard conversation or a necessary conversation. If there's something that's coming up, look to see how it's connected to something deep, because Chiron can really speak to very old threads. And if you believe in past lives, even sort of these past life threads that pull at us, and that it's not a fate, but it's something that we work to undo our connection to, for example. I already mentioned the Taurus new moon on May 7th or the 8th for the rest of the world, and then we go into the rest of the week, and it's just lunar aspects. So maybe we just need to sit on that new moon and really sort of feel it out, see what it's opening up for us, because next week we have the Sun-Uranus conjunction. I think we have a Venus-Uranus conjunction. So I think next week's going to really start to put into focus whatever this new moon is initiating in our lives. So let's look at the astrology of each of the 12 signs, starting with Aries. Aries, so Mars is your planet. How are you feeling now that Mars is in your sign? So it's been in Aries, goodness, since April 30th. Is that right? It's been in it, so that's just a week, and it's on some level it's a time of new beginnings, of renewal. You want to take action. Maybe you feel impatient. Maybe you feel a little bit angry, but this is an energy that's trying to push you into a new personal chapter. Mars only goes into your sign every 2 years, so this is the start of a 2-year chapter. It is also curiously activating the energy of the eclipses, namely the March 25th lunar eclipse in Libra, your relationship sign. That will happen this week, the 7th and 8th. And then at the end of the month, I think it's like the 30th of May, sometime around that, Mars will activate the solar eclipse degree of April 8th. So that was the one that's a time of new beginnings. And if your birthday was April 8th, plus or minus a couple of days, it is a powerful year ahead for you. That said, Taurus is your second sign of money and income. So a Taurus new moon says that over the next 4 weeks, it's time to focus on the basics of life, your material life, food, money, property, assets, value, worth, and even self-worth. Taurus, by its nature, wants you to create stability and security in your life. If you feel unstable or insecure, what is going to make that change? How do you use this new moon, particularly the energies of Uranus and Jupiter, to make a reinvention or even innovate your relationship with the material plane, or even how you earn a living? It is worth, in your own time, Aries, going back and looking at the last 4, 5, 6 years. How did you earn a living? What was your material life, or even your bank account like in the start of 2018? What is it like now? Do you see an energy that's trying to get you to awaken to something, to change something, and, as I said, even to innovate something? But it's a new moon on some level where you may make a financial purchase or investment over the next 4 weeks. Maybe there's a mortgage involved. Maybe you're looking to buy a house. Maybe it's just looking at the small things and really making sure that you are well anchored and grounded in your material life. Taurus, happy birthday, Taurus, especially if you had this new moon tomorrow on May 7th into 8th in the rest of the world. And it says that over the next year, because it's your birthday, that it's this energy of renewal and new beginning is very prominent in your life. If your birthday is not the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, maybe the 5th, I throw that in there, or the 9th, I throw that in there. It doesn't mean that you don't have this energy, but it's more focused and concentrated, especially if your birthday is on the new moon. It says that there are new beginnings for you over the next 12 months. That said, a new moon is a time, it's sort of this personal reset for the year. You have your birthday, and this is a time to really take that energy of your birthday season and put it into something. Set intentions, enjoy life. That's the beauty of being a Taurus. You get to remind a Scorpio like me that it's not all death and destruction, that you get to enjoy nice things, food, pleasure, security, to be in the sensuality of life. And right now, Venus, your planet, is in Taurus as well, so it sort of doubles the effect, so to speak. Keep in mind, Taurus, and this is something that we've been talking about quite a while at this point. You've had a visitor, and it's a long-term visitor at this point, in your sign since 2018 and 2019. It's Uranus. Uranus, as I was saying in the introduction, is an evolutionary force. It's been trying to get your life to grow and evolve, and sometimes by any means possible, over the last 4, 5, and 6 years. If you are born at the beginning of Taurus, you already felt this 5 years ago. If you're born now, you are in the last sort of 4, 5, 6 days of Taurus, you are feeling this right now. Uranus wants you to reinvent. It wants you to get out of your own way. I love Taurus, but sometimes it can get very stuck in its own, it's like, no, I have to keep doing this. If I stop doing this, the world stops turning. And Uranus is like, what are you doing? You're miserable. Stop doing this. So really feel into where this energy is present in your life at the moment, especially again if you're born at the end of Taurus. These are my May 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 birthdays, because it's trying to shake something up, and in a way that's very particular to you, for example. Then this new moon capitalizes on Uranus plus Jupiter. So shoot for the moon, like get big. Take this energy and use it to revitalize your life. Get unstuck, if that's even relevant to you. It's you will see, hopefully, what this energy is trying to seed and to reveal in your life. Gemini, Mercury is your planet. It's wrapping up its time in Aries. So we've been talking a little bit about this. Aries is something called your 11th sign. So there's been a little bit of a focus, I think it's the last month and a half, or maybe since the beginning of March, that Mercury has been in Aries. So it's about friends, community, society, humanity, big issues, groups, if I didn't say that already, really finding your place in the world and even finding your tribe, so to speak. So this is a time where Mercury has been really focusing on this part of your life. Mercury, I believe, in the next, I think it's next week or so, will go into Taurus. But you are wrapping up a personal chapter, and this is all in advance of your birthday season, which begins, I think, around the 22nd or 23rd of May. So also use this energy to look towards the future. Like, who are your allies? Who do you want to have in your life? Do you want to be a leader? Or do you, like, what sort of goals are you reaching towards? Continue to really focus and capitalize on this energy, because when Mercury goes into Taurus, and like, I don't have that date in my brain, Mercury will go into Taurus on May 15th. So I think that's next week. So yeah, you got one more week of this, and when Mercury goes into Taurus, you're going into a part of, for a couple of weeks, where you need to go within. You need to let go, you need to shed the past, and prepare for the next chapter of your life that begins with your birthday season, for example. That said, to that point, the Taurus new moon does activate your 12th sign of Taurus. Taurus represents the end of your personal zodiac, the end of your personal calendar. The end is simply that. It's a time to come to the end of something, wrap something up. This is also a space that, even though Taurus is a very material sign, the 12th is not material. It represents your non-material world. I know it sounds a little bit weird, but how do you spend time cultivating something inside yourself? Cultivating your intuition, cultivating your spirituality, because that's where a lot of the energy will be focused over the next 4 weeks. Cancer, the moon is your planet. So the moon is going from Taurus all the way to Cancer this week. So it's kind of wrapping up its cycle. So every month, a little bit less than every month, the moon goes through all 12 zodiac signs. So for you, Cancer, where's Taurus in your personal astrology? It represents your 11th sign. Keep in mind that even though you're Cancer, there are 11 other zodiac signs, and each stand in for a different part of your life. So, for example, if Aries is your career sign, then Taurus, the next sign over from Aries, is your 11th sign of friends, community, society, humanity, social issues, social causes. I realize that's a mouthful. It's a space in your personal zodiac that wants you to go out into the world. Whether you build a social circle, you build community, you find your place, you find your friends, you find your allies, you find your comrades, or you really start to become aware of the world, social issues and social causes, for example. Friendship is something that hopefully is very present in each and every one of your lives, because it is such an essential part of life. And I will say that because Uranus has been in this space, your 11th, since 2018, 2019, has been trying to reinvent and be a force of evolution in how you connect to other people. Do you have friends? Do you feel that you have people around you who get you, who are your tribe, so to speak, who are your allies, so to speak? So I wanted to say that because whatever is happening over the next 4 weeks with this new moon threads its way back to experiences over the past 5-6 years. And this could be a new moon if you used it to your advantage to bring new people into your life, to join a group, to find the people who are actually, in alignment with you, for example. So the moon is, Taurus and then Gemini. Gemini represents the end of your personal zodiac. You may find that the end of this week, not the weekend, is more of a time to go within, to get quiet. And then the moon going into Cancer this weekend gives you that personal revitalization and new beginning that you get each month. Leo, the sun is your planet, so it's currently hanging out in Taurus, and Taurus is something called your 4th sign. No, 10th sign, geez. Keep in mind, and I've said this I think a few times at this point, you're a Leo, but you've got 11 other signs that are standing in for different parts of your life. So Taurus stands in for career for you. And I know that, like Katie, but career, like what does that mean? What role do you play in the world? What is the title after your name? What do you feel like you are reaching and striving towards? What are your duties and responsibilities? And what is your career? It doesn't have to be a traditional thing. Sometimes we really strive and want to be something in the world, even if we feel that there's a lot of hurdles and obligations toward that. That the 10th, its role is to really help us to create an external life, to really grow and mature, and to find our place in the world, a place that is truly ours and our own, that we've worked hard to build, and a space or a place that we really inhabit for the rest of our life. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a space that really is governed by Saturn. So Saturn says this is going to take time to really build and to grow and to mature into something. That said, over the last 5-6 years, you've had Uranus in your career sign. I know I know Leos that have made major career changes. I know Leos that haven't and scratch their heads and like, Katie, where's my career change? Maybe it's not that. Maybe your place in the world has changed. Maybe your ambition has changed. Maybe how you want to be in the world has changed or not. Maybe it's to really feel into this energy that's trying to push you out into the world, so to speak. On a very nuts and bolts level, a new moon in this part of your life does put the spotlight on your public life, your professional life, your career. Use it to get a new job. Use it to make a career like a shift. Use it to launch something. Use it to get eyes, because when the sun, because you're ruled by the sun, is out in this part of the sky or part of your personal astrology, it's the most visible and public place for you to be. So do you want to be visible? Well, maybe you're like, no, I don't, but, or maybe you're like, no, I have this project that I want to get out into the world. Okay, well, here you go. Here is your new moon, for example. Virgo, so Mercury is your planet, and Mercury's been spent a lot of time in Aries, I think since the beginning of March, if I'm remembering my astrology correctly. So it's been a little bit of an emotionally heavy time, Virgo, a time where you've needed to do a lot of inner work and inner search. Typically Virgo is really good at organizing in systems, looking at themes around health and wellness, but that's not just physical health and wellness, also emotional health and wellness. For some of you, it has been themes about intimacy, vulnerability, trust, power, and control. When a major planet of ours goes through the 8th, so Aries is your 8th sign, there's a process of rebirth. There's a process of transformation that has to happen. Whether that's quiet and internal because we're sitting in our feelings and really examining ourselves, or we feel like we are in a way confronted by life or confronted by a situation, or maybe it's within a relationship. We are like, oh wow, I'm in a relationship that needs more emotional depth and maturity. you will maybe at this point see the thread that's been with you since the beginning of March. Well, by next week, I think I said the 15th, it's going to be into Taurus. So you are wrapping up something, and maybe with this Mercury Chiron conjunction today, there has been a need to release something, to release a secret, to talk about something that you don't typically talk about, or maybe to loosen a knot or let go of a thread that has held you to the past. That said, where's Taurus for you? Taurus is a fellow earth sign, Virgo is an earth sign, and Taurus is something called your ninth sign. You are Virgo, but there are 11 other signs that represent different parts of your life. So Taurus represents, what do you believe in? What do you stand for? I know that that's a little, like abstract or even subjective. But the ninth, it takes the energy of the eighth, like where we are confronted, where we have to do our inner work, where we have to grow and transform. And it's the fruit of the eighth. It's like, what do you believe in? Well, I believe in this because I went through this. Or I really developed a view of the world because I had to open up myself. Because the ninth wants you to make your world bigger. It wants you to travel. It wants you to explore. It wants you to hop on a plane. It wants you to read a book. It wants you to go to school, get a degree, for example. So this is a space for you, and especially over the next 4 weeks, to make your world bigger. Even if it means that a lot of the soul searching and inner work that you did over the last 2 months has opened up something inside of you that you now need to make sense of. What does everything mean now? Well, that part is on you. That's the part that's very subjective. But the ninth, it allow your world to get bigger. Allow yourself to explore. Allow yourself to examine what is your truth, lower T truth. What do you believe in? What's faith? Whether that doesn't have to be the faith of religion, but we all need some sort of inner compass that guides us, and that is really at the heart of the ninth. And do keep in mind that because Uranus has been there since 2018, 2019, this has already been a big area of evolution and transformation, that inner compass, what do you believe in, what do you stand for, over the past 5-6 years. Libra, Venus is your planet, and Venus is presently hanging out in Taurus. So, previous to that, Venus was in Aries throughout April, and we had eclipses. We had that eclipse in April 8th, and it planted a seed, and also planted a seed in Libra because we had that Libra full moon on March 25th. Since I forget when Venus went into Taurus, but I think it was like last week, but it's been a time where you've had to really get into themes around vulnerability, trust, power, control, going within, doing the inner work, looking at your inner landscape, your inner psychic landscape. It may be a little bit of an emotionally heavy time. That will change next week because Venus will go into Gemini, and Gemini is a very different energy. But in the meantime, this is the time every year that you need to go within, to shed something, to strip away the veneer of the ego, to strip away the veneer of something within a relationship so that you can emerge from this experience. It's a little bit like a crucible. Keep in mind, you've had Uranus there since 2018, 2019. There is this evolutionary force that is, of course, is going to mean different things to different Libras. I already know that it is, just on paper at least, a dynamic time to be a Libra or Libra rising because you are having eclipses in your sign even into later this year in October. Keep that in mind because that dynamic energy may come to the forefront in May. So for May 2024, it may be a very crucial month for you, for example. If you feel that life is shifting and changing, of course, this is not going to be relevant to every last person listening. Maybe that evokes some emotions. Maybe you need to sit with your emotions or your insecurities around change and transformation. And that's part of the inner work and the inner alchemy that is necessary to change your outlook and to change how you see something. And that will be when we get into Jupiter and Gemini season later this May, and also Venus and Gemini next week. Scorpio. Scorpio, so Mars is your planet and it is now in Aries. So it is go time. Aries is fast, it's hot, it's quick, it's impatient. Typically for a Scorpio, when Mars is in Aries, it's a little bit of a workaholic. It really kind of dives and puts its energy into projects and organization, for example. On the other side, it is a time to look at health and wellness, whether that is just simply how you organize your day-to-day life, sort of your life actually nourishes you, or maybe you really do need to take care of health and wellness. So to make positive changes, positive initiatives in your relationship with your body and the physicality of life. Or maybe this energy just wants you to just clean up, clean out. I mean, I know for me, because I am a Scorpio, I just suddenly want to clean everything. I want to clean out. Mind you, I'm going to move in a month, but it just feels like that plus the Mars. It's like spring cleaning on steroids, or whatever part of the world that you're in, of course. But that's where Mars is, and Mars will be activating eclipse degrees this month. So it may mean that at the end of May, it's a key month for Scorpio. That said, we are going to have a Taurus new moon, and Taurus is Scorpio's relationship sign. It's truly all relationships. It's not just romantic relationships. It's a part of your astrology because you're a Scorpio, but there are 11 other signs, and Taurus represents relationships that's trying to get you to open up and connect to other people. Keep in mind that since 2018, 2019, you've had Uranus here. Uranus is an evolutionary force. It's been trying to get relationships to grow and evolve, sometimes by any means possible, over the last 5-6 years. Then Jupiter went to this space. It went to this space May of 2023. It's been giving life to this change and transformation. It's not always evident. Sometimes it's very evident. The people that are coming into your life right now are very different than the past, or maybe you've needed to radically change a relationship or change how you connect and interact with other people. The conjunction of April 20th was a seed that it's possible that the new moon tomorrow, May 7th, May 8th, for the rest of the world, is activating. So this could be a very dynamic next 4 weeks. People are coming in and out of your life, new beginnings in relationships. You may meet somebody, maybe see how that energy continues, especially when Mars gets into Taurus June 9th. But it is really reminding Scorpio on a nuts and bolts level that you, Scorpio, cannot do life alone. Even though you are highly capable, highly self-reliant, life needs other people. So use this energy how you need it, set intentions, be proactive, open up the space for new people to come into your life. And that's one of the, sort of the core ways in which this new moon may work for you. Sagittarius, Jupiter is your planet, is coming to the end of its time in Taurus, and I think it's the 25th of May, it goes into Gemini. So, and I know I've said this, but you may find that the second half of 2024 is very different than the first half of 2024. Why? Well, right now it's wrapping up its time. In Taurus, the same sign that we find Uranus has been there since 2018, 2019, and the same sign as tomorrow's or May 8th Taurus new moon. On a nuts and bolts level, Taurus represents your day-to-day life. Remember, you're Sag, but there are 11 other signs. What do I mean by day-to-day life? Your routines, the systems and the structures that set your day-to-day life. It's also health and wellness, your relationship with your physical body, even diet, fitness, and nutrition. For example, see what has changed in that part of your life over the last 4 or 5 years. Certainly there have been lots of ups and downs for everybody on this planet in the last 4 and 5 years. If this new moon capitalizes on that energy, then use this new moon plus the next 4 weeks to make positive changes in your routines, your diet, your nutrition, and your health and your wellness. Then there's the second half of the year comment. Well, when Jupiter gets into Gemini, it crosses into the sign that is opposite you. It's about relationships. It's about new seasons. It's about the next year. really focusing its time on whether it's the existing relationships in your life or new people coming into your life. What's curious, at least for me as an astrologer, is that Jupiter will also make a square to Saturn, and that you are already Sag rising in a time in your astrology that's about settling down. And I put that in air quotes because settling down means different things to different people, certainly at different phases and chapters of our life. But Saturn going through your fourth, where it's been since last year, it is a time to answer the question, where is home and who is home? To focus on the importance of family, the past and memory, to put an anchor in, to sometimes make a major move, and a major move that is symbolic of the next stage and chapter of your life. Sometimes it's not a move, sometimes somebody moves in, sometimes it's a pregnancy, sometimes it's starting a family. So with Jupiter and Saturn on your angles, your angular signs, end of 2024 into 2025, it's a time of growth and maturity. It's a step up in your life, or a re-examination of what these things mean for you, especially with Uranus going to Gemini, at least for a few months next year. You may find that 2025 continues this trend of change and transformation. But that said, Taurus new moon, really get back to the nuts and bolts of your life, organize, clean out, focus on your health and wellness, and make sometimes necessary and overdue changes. Capricorn. So Saturn is your planet. You hear me say this every week. It is still in Pisces. Little kind of check in with Saturn and Pisces. It's been a year since March of 2023. Saturn will turn retrograde at the end of June, so next month, and that will be one of these sort of key checkpoints in Saturn's time in Pisces. Pisces is a little bit of an interesting place for your planet to be, because Pisces is not tangible, it's not material, it's not structured, it is ethereal. It's a water sign. It wants to move, and it wants to intuit and dream, for example. So it's a very different vibe than, say, the past 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And maybe it's a very existential time for you, but it is a time that continues to focus on voice, speaking, communication, education, how you take your mind seriously, your education seriously, and even every word that you say seriously. That said, Taurus is a fellow earth sign, and so it represents your fifth. And over the next 4 weeks, it's a time for you. The fifth represents how do you express yourself? What is your personality? What is your persona? What is your identity? What lights you up and gives you joy and gives you passion? So this could be the next 4 weeks are about really getting in touch with your creativity, really getting in touch with the things that light you up and give you joy and give you passion. I know that, that sounds like, oh, that sounds nice, Katie, but you have to cultivate it. This is a space, it's to really nourish the things that actually nourish your spirit, nourish positively your sense of self. For some, this is a focus on children, a focus on family, maybe even starting a family. Of course, that's not going to be relevant to everybody, but do keep in mind, Capricorn, that you had a really powerful Aries new moon eclipse in your sign of the fourth, home and family roots foundation. Mars is presently there, so it's really continuing to activate this energy of change in the home environment, whether it's a move, whether it's a change in the household, whether it's somebody moving in, whether it's starting a family, whether you just need to prioritize family at this point in your life. Mars is also activating the March 25th lunar eclipse degree that highlighted your career. So it's a big time for you, Capricorn. So if you feel like a lot of things are shifting and changing, don't forget to get back to yourself and to the things that light you up and give you joy. Aquarius, Saturn is your planet. It spent the last year, and it will spend the next 2 years in the sign of Pisces. Kind of like tomorrow's Taurus new moon, Pisces represents your second sign of money and income. You are an Aquarius, but there are 11 other zodiac signs, and they each represent a different facet of your life. And some of them might be important facets, but over the next 2 years, and even to look back at the past year, like what has been the story around money and income, material stability and security? How have you created stability, maybe made purchases and investments, maybe looked at income and how you earn a living, maybe had to make some changes in structures? Pisces is kind of an interesting sign to be a money sign because Pisces by its nature is immaterial. It's not material, it's not monetary, but it just is that reminder that however you earn a living, whatever you invest in, it has to speak to your soul, it has to align with your deeper values and purpose, for example. Then there's the Taurus new moon. And Taurus actually is a major sign in your astrology. Again, you are an Aquarius, but there are 11 other signs. And Taurus represents the base and foundation of your personal astrology. Aquarius, look back at the last 6 years. What has changed in your home environment? Have you moved? Have you made a big move? Have you made a radical move? What is your relationship with family, and how has your relationship with family and home and past and memory changed over the last 4, 5, 6 years? You've had Uranus in this space. It's not an easy planet to have because you want this space of your life to be like rock solid, but Uranus has been shaking up your life over the last 5, 6 years. Jupiter has been there the last year. Maybe there's been some silver linings. Maybe there's been some blessings. Maybe your household has expanded. Maybe something from the past you've sort of reconciled. This new moon capitalizes on this energy. Maybe you are looking to make a change in the household. Maybe you're looking to make a move. Maybe somebody is moving in. Maybe somebody is moving out. Maybe the axis of your life is tilting and shifting yet again. But look at the next 4 weeks as a way to rethink a problem, rethink the past, trying to get out of a rut and to plant yourself in a place where you will actually thrive. Pisces. So Jupiter is your planet, and it's kind of in the spotlight at the moment. It's right next to this Taurus new moon. If you recall, it's been a year that Jupiter has been in Taurus, and Taurus represents your Taurus represents your third sign, voice, communication, how you think and listen and learn. And maybe for the last year you've needed to take classes. Maybe it's been a lot of travel. Maybe it's been a lot of exploration. Maybe it's been a lot of movement. You have had Uranus in this space since 2018, 2019, and you've needed to really rethink how you think, or maybe change how you communicate, or even make choices differently. Maybe that's evident to you at this moment. Maybe you need to reflect on it a little bit, but it's been a time to really change how you think and how you listen and how you learn. Jupiter there has been giving life to this process of finding your voice. Do keep in mind, Pisces, that voice is not just the words out of your mouth. It is your ability to inhabit your words, for your words to be your words and nobody else's words. And one of the things that I say is, do not be a cover act, a cover band in your own life. It's to make sure that the songs that you are singing, metaphorically speaking, are your own and nobody else's. This new moon might drive that point home, whether that's literal in your life, whether it's not quite about that. Maybe it's about taking your mind seriously, believing that you know everything, maybe even thinking, this whole past idea that you might have about even your intelligence, for example. You will find that at the end of this month, it is a shift. Jupiter will change and go into Gemini, and it will be there for a year. So the second half of the year will be quite different. You are shifting into a personal phase of your astrology that highlights settling down, focusing on home and family in the second half of this year. And even adding to the major chapters and new beginnings that started last year when Saturn went into your sign. It's a little bit of the weight on your shoulders at the moment, Pisces. You've had to really step up. I say that continues. Continue to step up, continue to make the right choices, continue to weigh your options. And sometimes the choices that are right for you are not the right choices for others, and maybe you need to honor that, but that's to see if that's relevant for you. So That is your look at the astrology of this week, May 6th through 12th, 2024. Again, we've had this Taurus new moon tomorrow, May 7th into May 8th. And that said, set your intentions, really connect to the energies of the sensualities of Taurus. But, that said, I will see you all next week. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram. I'm on Spotify, YouTube. Book a consultation with me. I know some of you are my clients, and we can see how this energy is working out in your astrology, and then even sign up for my newsletter. So all the links are in the show notes or on my website at empoweringastrology.com. I appreciate you all, and I will see you all next week. Take care. Bye-bye.